Hello everybody, this is Stephen Whitfield, the drilling contractor, and we are at the 2026 IADC Health, Safety, Environment, and Training Conference in Houston, Texas. And with me right now is Shawn Galloway of ProAct Safety. He just gave a presentation on the 10 focus necessities for a successful safety strategy. Now, we're not going to go over all 10 of those focus necessities. We'll provide a list of that, and we'll link to an article sort of talking more about those. You can read all about that, but we're going to have a few questions about some of the things that he said here on this stage today. So, Shawn, thank you so much for joining me.
Happy to be here, Stephen. Thank you very much.
I'm not going to go over all 10 of the focus necessities, but I will go over one thing that you kept coming back to in your presentation, this idea of safety being a business strategy, that you can't have one without the other. Can you sort of talk about what that means to you, and how does a company go about sort of making that happen?
Michael Porter said the essence of strategy is choosing what not to do, but also a fit among company activities. So if an organization wants to be great in safety, it has to be a part of how decisions are being made. At the top of the organization, if we don't have alignment on what the objectives are, and I've been in a lot of board discussions to where realistically the best we can do is incremental improvement. That's what we can fund today. We want to be world class, but maybe that's 10 years down the road. So that is going to be a part of how capital is allocated for operations, for continuous improvement, for growth within the organization. But if an organization does want to be world class, then it has to be a part of how they're attracting business, how they're conducting their own business. And if safety is not a part of the business strategy, it's going to conflict because people are making trade-off. They're making decisions throughout all day at work. And if it's to support the business objectives, then people are going to take risks. If it's, however, safety is the way we conduct it, if we're working really hard to make the safe choice the easy choice, then safety becomes the way we do things. But if safety is a separate strategy to manage, it's never going to work.
Okay, so a couple of these focus necessities that you brought up kind of point to the importance of leadership in developing a competent competencies, leadership acumen, things like that. So let me ask you about the importance of leadership in developing a successful safety strategy. What do leaders play? What role do leaders play, I should say, in this?
Well, in developing the strategy, the business leaders, the operations people, they need to be a part of this because they're going to know things that the safety professionals are not going to know. Again, acquisitions or even changes in personnel coming down the pipe. So they need to play a part in it. But more fundamentally, the leaders at the top of the organization, they're the ones that are setting the tone. They're the ones that get deciding around what the trade-offs are, what gets tolerated, what gets rewarded. But where these things, strategy and the execution, tends to fail is at the front line. So even if we have all of these great objectives, as those edicts and the values cascade down, it's up to those frontline leaders. This isn't finding culpability. This is just the reality that an organization can have hundreds of cultures underneath the same brand, because if you want to consider how many subcultures you have the potential for, it's how many first-line leaders do you have. So leaders at the top are setting the direction, the trade-offs, all of that, but where decisions are actually being made, the first phase of leadership, that's where those leaders I find to be really the most important ones, because that's where either culture change is going to land and stick or where it's going to stall. So they have to be a part of it. Deming taught us years ago, people support what they help to create. So if we want leadership to support what we're doing, they need to be a part of the creation of the strategy.
So lastly, I mean, obviously we have an industry that is very much focused on safety. I'm sure a lot of people out here are watching this, their companies already have what they think is an effective safety strategy. But say somebody's reading through the article that we're going to link, say somebody's going through and they're looking and they realize, wait a second, maybe there are some things that we need to be doing. What do you think for a company that's looking to get on this path of establishing a successful safety strategy? What are the tangible steps that you would say they need to start doing?
First one I would say is get aligned on what success looks like and what the objective is. So I call this real quickly the Olympics analogy, because I noticed what happened in Sochi Olympics years ago, that I wanted to watch a particular event. I did not want to know what the score was, but I happened to be checking into a hotel, opened up social media, and they blasted the score across the screen there. So I was a little upset because I didn't want to know. But later when I watched that event, and I already knew the outcome, I said to myself, that's why they got the gold, because I could see the performance that led to the result. So we want the result of not ever hurting anyone, but we have to get aligned on, well, what does that actually look like? What is success? What is the performance of success? What does that actually look like? So if you were to leave your organization today, 5 years has passed, you're now being recognized for the most improved in safety, the best in the industry, you're back into your seat in the organization. What do you see? What explains why you're so much better? We need to get alignment there at the top of the organization, because if that's where we're reaching for, then the next step is, where are we today? What element, if we focus on, would help us close the gap? And that's why I created this tool, just to be another one that leaders can use to get aligned on where are we today and what really should our priorities be.
Well, Shawn, thank you so much for taking the time to let us know a little bit more about this. This is really cool stuff, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it.
And thank you for visiting drillingcontractor.org.